What's up, y'all? This is Brian Mazik, featured columnist of Bleacher Report, aka Franchise Play, aka the Big Numbers Guy. Let's talk a little bit about the NBA draft using NBA 2K14, PS4, MyGM as the backdrop there. I'm going to take you actually through, not going to talk through it or whatever, but just going to show you a little bit in the background, show you the NBA draft process and all that with 2K. But let's talk about real basketball for a moment if we can. The mock drafts are starting to roll out. Actually, they've been rolling out for a while or whatever. But, with us moving into conference play in terms of college basketball, a lot of things are coming more into focus. So, if you're wondering, people are looking at the Eastern Conference in the NBA and they're like, the Eastern Conference is horrible. You are correct. The Eastern Conference is horrible. Just to if you haven't looked at this, you want to just know just how bad the Eastern Conference is right now. The Eastern Conference has a total of 4 teams over 500. 4. Indiana and Miami both killing it. Indiana's 26-6, Miami's 25-8. But the other 2 teams are like barely scraping over 500. Atlanta's 18-16, probably going to fall off even more because Al Horford's out for the season with a torn pectoral muscle. Then you got Toronto, who is trying to tank. But because the Eastern Conference is so bad, they won 5 games in a row, and now they're 16-15. Because before they went on their run, there was still only like 3 teams over 500. So the last 4 teams right now that would qualify for the NBA playoffs, or the Eastern Conference playoffs, if the playoffs started today, are all under 500, and that includes my Chicago Bulls, who are 14-8, and they won 2 games in a row, and they're still 14-18. Whoa. So now you might be wondering, how in the world did it get this bad, right? Well, part of the reason is, one of the things is the Eastern Conference is always traditionally the worst conference from top to bottom. Though the champion might come from there, from top to bottom, the teams are just not as good. The other side of that is these teams are tanking big time because they want to have the best opportunity to get one of the top players that are expected to be a part of the 2014 NBA draft. Coming into the season, Andrew Wiggins was probably the consensus #1 pick, but people have been a little bit down on Wiggins. I think they've been down on him too much. The dude he's averaging 16 points a game, shooting 47% from the field, 34% from three-point range, averaging 5.4 rebounds, a block, and a steal a game, right? But that just shows you just how high the expectations were for him, because as a freshman to be putting up 16 and 5 and shooting 34% from 3, for that to be considered not really killing it is kind of shocking to me. He's had 1 game where he didn't score double figures. I don't know. I don't know. I won't say that I don't see situations where he needs to be more assertive, and you wonder a little bit about that with him, even though I think he's a better prospect than Ben McLemore. But you wonder about that with him and guys like McLemore, all the physical talent in the world, but do they have that dog? Do they have that killer in them that's like, I'm going to take over right now? But I caution people when I tell them, remember, LeBron, the same questions that people had the same questions about LeBron when he was really young. They were like, well, he's looking to give the ball up. He don't want to take that shot. It wasn't until the last 2 or 3 years that you really don't kind of hear that talk anymore. Everybody knows this is that guy. So you got to think about that when you're looking at a guy like Wiggins. He hasn't completely come into his own just yet as that. But what you do love is that he is able to fill a stat sheet in so many ways. He's been struggling from the field as of late. I think in the last 4 games, he's had 1 good shooting night against New Mexico. He was shot like 3 for 11 against Georgetown. He was like 3 for 10. Had a good game against Toledo, but then turned around against San Diego State today and shot 4 for 14. And Kansas lost to San Diego State 61-57. He had 14 points, 5 rebounds. That's a decent game, but obviously that's not what people are expecting from him. In my opinion, right now, he's still the #1 prospect. There's a lot of people that getting on the bandwagon of some other guys, but we're not talking about who's the best player right now. We're talking about who projects as the best player. And to me, Andrew Wiggins still projects as the best player long term. Now, a hot name right now is his teammate, Joel Embiid. One of the reasons it's a hot name is because big guys always rise. Towards the draft time, big guys are going to go through the roof. That's just the way it goes. Embiid is a ridiculous athlete to be 7 feet. That is no joke. That's no lie. This dude is a freak as an athlete. Physically, now I'm not saying everything, all things considered, but physically, when you look at his frame and his athleticism, he puts me a little bit in the mind of a Dwight Howard as a legit 7-footer, because Joel Embiid is a legit 7 feet. Dwight Howard isn't. You know, if you look, he's already a better free throw shooter than Dwight Howard. He's shooting 64% from free throw line, 66% from the field, almost 11 points a game, 7 rebounds, 2.3 blocks. So he's a freshman too. He is getting it done, and he's a force down there. And like I said, with big guys, he always rise. But you also have to consider this. If you're looking at Joel Embiid as a number 1 pick, right? People don't draft number 1 picks to be complementary players, to be strictly rebounding, shot blocking guys. If you take a guy number 1, you're looking at him as he's gonna be a star. Joel Embiid is playing on a team right now where he has Perry Ellis, Wayne Selden, Andrew Wiggins. These are the guys that are on his team. So he's not really the focal point of the offense. He's able to get shots and he's able to get what he's getting basically without having a lot of plays run for him. Now, some people might say, wait and see what happens when he does get things run through him. Well, it might not be as good as you think, because when now you're the focal point of the offense and teams are going to key on you, can you still do your thing when you start getting double teamed out of the low post and all of that? Something to think about. Probably the player that most people were saying is the number 1 pick right now still, since people's gotten down on Andrew Wiggins, is Jabari Parker. Jabari is a beast. He's a heck of a scorer. Reminds me a lot of Carmelo Anthony. You have to remember, though, he is playing out of position. So he's asked to play in the post a lot more than he probably will in the league. In the league, he's a small forward. That's what he is. He has, as far as pure basketball skills, I think he's the most skilled player in the nation. Where I give Wiggins the edge on him is pure athleticism. Jabari's not a horrible athlete, but he's not a freak athlete like Wiggins. He's not a dude that's going to explode over you and all that, but I'm not saying that's going to prevent him from being a star. I do think that he is still going to be a star, and I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year when he comes out, because I'm pretty sure he's going to come out. 20 points a game, 7, almost 8 boards a game, a block, a steal, shooting 43% from the from the 3-point line. He's really only had he's had probably the last 2 games. Actually, he hasn't played well. The game against Elon is hard to compare that. Duke won by 38 points, so it's hard to. But against Notre Dame on Saturday, he was 2 for 10 from the field. I wrote the recap up for that game on Bleacher Report. He just couldn't find his rhythm for nothing. It happens. Notre Dame had a lot of size. He's down there banging with big guys. He's 6'8", 235. Just couldn't find his rhythm. Overall, though, I do think that he is going to be a beast in the league. But if it were me picking, he'd be number 2 behind Wiggins. Another guy that was mentioned for the top pick at some point, but I think people have cooled on him a bit, is Julius Randle of Kentucky. 18 points, 10.5 boards a game. Randle is a man down there on the block. The concern, though, with him is this. On the next level, can he physically dominate the way he is in college? Because on the next level, everybody's big. Everybody's strong. You're going against big, strong guys, big, strong athletes, long and wide athletes on a nightly basis. In college, he has a lot more matchups that he can actually take advantage of just with his power. But what I love about his game is that from 18 feet and in, he can put the ball on the floor, make a move or two, get to the basket. That's the difference. So it's not like he's Jared Sullinger, who's a decent player in the league, but whose low post dominance doesn't translate quite as well in the league because he doesn't have the nimble feet, and he doesn't have the ability to put the ball on the floor and get to the basket the way Randle can. So I really like Randle, not a number 1 pick, but I love him as a top 5 pick, period. So those are the top guys. No disrespect to Marcus Smart. He's in the conversation too, but Those are the guys to me, the top guys. But let's talk about some sleepers, some guys people aren't talking about. In my opinion, the best pure point guard that I've seen so far in the nation this year is freshman Tyler Ennis from Syracuse. This dude he has something you cannot teach. He has a feel for the game at point guard. Probably the most valuable trait that you can have outside of, the requisite speed and that sort of thing, is the feel for the game, to know when you're supposed to take over as a scorer and when you're supposed to create for your teammates. Chris Paul has it. When Darren Williams was right, he had it. But it's something that, as much as I love Derrick Rose and as much as I love like John Wall, I don't know that they've developed that quite yet. Even Stephen Curry, I don't know if he's developed it quite yet. But Paul certainly has it. Tyler Ennis has it, and he's just a freshman. He's not quite as great a shooter as some of the better point guards that you might see just yet, but I have no doubt in my mind this dude can get it. Check this out. On New Year's Eve, of course, he's played a couple games since then, but a colleague of mine works with Bleacher Report. He's one of the draft experts with Bleacher Report, Jonathan Wasserman. He tweeted, in 416 minutes of play, Tyler Ennis had only 15 turnovers and 70 assists. What? You realize only 15 turnovers in 416 minutes and 70 assists? That's sick. You know what I'm saying? That is sick. That's better than 4-1 ratio for assist over turnovers. This is sick, man. The dude he's that deal. He is that deal. So definitely keep your eye out on him. Another guy, while Jabari Parker is getting all the love, Rodney Hood is on my Chicago Bulls wish list. He absolutely is. He had 27 points against Notre Dame. But what was the most impressive part of his performance to me was his ability to get his shot, get his own offense off the bounce. That left-handed jump shot, he's not just a spot-up shooter, but the touch off that left-handed jump shot is sick. It's pretty. But he was breaking guys down off the dribble. He was getting to the free throw line. Had a great game. He did have a big turnover towards the end of the game that kind of cost Duke a little bit. And I also thought that he faded away a little bit late in the second half when Duke kind of needed him, I think, to keep being aggressive. He kind of took a backseat to Quinn Cook, who had a decent game. He had 22 points too. But with Parker struggling the way he was, I kind of felt that Hood should have really stepped up a little bit more than he did. But overall, he had a huge game, 27 points. So that's all I'm going to touch on today. Obviously, this is a draft. We got a lot we could talk about. We'll save that for some more episodes of this. Just NBA draft talk, breaking it down, going deeper than the video game, you feel me? So, as you see, Spencer Dinwiddie getting selected with the 29th pick here by the Oklahoma City Thunder in the mock draft through the NBA 2K14. So that's it for me on this one. You guys subscribe, follow. Peace.